Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's New Knife Wednesday, where I'm going to take you through a bunch of the new stuff that hit our shelves in the past week. Let's check them out. So the first thing this week that we're really excited about is the new Steel Will Modus Mini Flippers. Now the Modus has always been a really cool model. Here's the full-size version to compare to these new minis. And they've always been nice and affordable. You got FRN handles, D2 blades, with some aluminum backspacers that have some nice color to them. Each one's a little bit different, or each handle color gets a different type of colored backspacer. But you get some really cool swoopy lines with this. It's right up my alley. And now with this mini, the blade length on these from the tip to the forward edge of the scale is a hair under 2 3/4 of an inch. It makes this very easy to carry in a lot of places, like if you have a 3-inch limit that you're allowed to carry. Makes these a really good option because they're less than $50, $46.99 on these models right now. And there's a few different variants. We've got black FRN with a black stonewash blade and a red backspacer. We've also got black FRN with a satin blade and a blue backspacer, as well as gray with satin and a blue backspacer, and gray with a black stonewash and an orange backspacer. You can find all those on our website, and I really love the form factor of this. Like I said, I've always loved the Modus. I think it's a great knife, but this scaled down, slimmer form factor, it's just neat, man. It flips really good. It's about a 3.5 finger grip on my hands. I don't have a banana for scale, but I do have slightly larger hands here. I can't remember what size glove I wear. It doesn't matter. But you can see kind of from the finger grooves, it's kind of primarily 3 fingers and then just a little bit left on the end for you, sticking out for you to grab. But it's got those same flowing lines as the original Modus. Really cool model. Again, less than $50, so it's affordable and you can carry it a lot of places because it's nice and compact. Sticking with budget knives for a minute, we've got several new handle and blade variants, I should say, of the Randall's Adventure Training folding knives, and we're across a couple of different companies at this point. Of course, we've got the Rat 1 folder, which is made by Ontario, and this kind of came first in terms of folding knives from the Rat folks, who then went on to form Essie after they split with Ontario. And we've got new handle colors. We've got orange as well as gray. Gray kind of like that steel will there. And these have a pretty good amount of texturing on them. This one right here, this is one of the assisted versions, although we also have the non-assisted versions in these colors. And it seems to have a little bit more texture to it than the base Rat one, but I'm basing that on memory, so that might not quite be the case. Either way, it's not too aggressive, but there is something there to keep you from slipping too bad on it, which is quite nice. Liner locking model, and as I said, this one is assisted opening. With the switch here, you can slide it over. As you can see, we've got a red dot there, which means it's ready to fire, but you can lock it closed. You can pull it a little bit in your pocket, but it's not gonna fly out, which is a good added bit of safety. But switch it back to red, it pops open really cool. 4-position pocket clip, so just about anyone can carry it. Liner lock, so it is right-hand biased. Full flat grind, just like usual, Aus 8 steel. But we've also got some D2 steel in this batch, as well as a carbon fiber and D2 steel version, which you might be interested. Apart from the Rat, we also have both gray and orange handles and black and satin or stonewash blades on the Zancudo and the Avispa folders, which technically these aren't Essie products. They're made exclusively for Blue Ridge knives, but you do have the Essie logo on them. These are imported knives. And just like the Rat folders, they're economical, use Aus 8 steel, or in some cases D2, although I'm not sure any of this batch with the new handle colors comes in D2. Let me check real quick. No, not in this batch anyway. And then instead of liner locks, you get frame locks on these models. And the drop point is you get a little bit more drop towards the edge than the Rat models do. And they carry a little bit slimmer too, if that's important to you. 4-position pocket clips again on both of these, very easy to carry for just about anyone, but the locks are right-handed biased. But yeah, a lot of cool new colors there. You can find all of them at our website. And as I said, these are all great budget options. Price range on the new handle variants right now range from $32 up to $50, excepting that carbon fiber version, which we do have, and that's $68 right now. Again, all these prices are good right now. They can, of course, change in the future. So let's keep the orange pattern going here, since we've everything so far has had a little bit of orange in it. The Essie Inlay rescue knife can now be had with an orange sheath. As you can see here, it looks a lot like the Azula. This is a 440C stainless steel version of the Azula. It's a rescue version, so we have a blunt tip right here. There's no edge on the leading tip of that knife. And you get a partially serrated combo edge here. Now they use this not only as a rescue knife, it would also work well as a dive knife. It holds pretty nicely. You got a nice stone washed finish on that stainless steel. Those serrations are going to help when you need to cut like rope or webbing or even clothing. And because of that blunted tip, if you're trying to get under and rescue someone and free someone, again, you're not running the risk of puncturing folks with the tip of the knife. Previously, you could get this with a black sheath. Now it is available with orange. And this little doodad sticking off the back here is actually designed, when I first saw it, I thought it might be something for a little bit of extra grip length on there, like sort of like a lanyard can do sometimes. It's not quite that, but it's actually designed for more retention. You can actually stretch it onto this post on the sheath. It's a fairly good amount of effort to get it to stretch that far, so I'm not worried about this coming out of the sheath at all. Even if this sheath were to wear down after years of use, you're still going to be able to hold that in because of the tension there. And in terms of the hardware, this does come with Essie's clip plate that you can attach to the sheath and stash on your belt or in a pocket or anything like that. Overall, really cool product, really good thing to stash in your emergency pack, maybe in the glove box of your car, or certainly in your fishing kit or diving kit if that's what you do. American made, just under 90 bucks. The other kind of big news this week is the KnifeCenter X Series knives have finally landed here at the Knife Center. And we've got 3 models, the F1X, the S1X, and the A1X. Now, in terms of the overall profile, they're just about identical to the original F1, S1, and A1. But instead of being a stick tang with a molded over handle, we do have bolt-on handle scales with these models, which is pretty darn cool. In terms of the top-down profile, they're pretty much the same as the original versions of this knife. And you can see them all there. I'll try to hold them all up together for whatever that gives you. The grind is a little bit different, especially on the F1. It's not a full height convex grind. It only goes part of the shorter way up the blade. And we have laminated COS cobalt steel with these. So it's a definite upgrade over like the base VG10 that you can get on these KnifeCenters. The other big news with these, now actually there's more than just one bit of big news. There's a few extra things. All of these knives are available either with a satin finish or this black tungsten carbide finish. And what's cool about this blackened finish is it's not like a thick coating. Like you can still see the kind of the sheen of the metal coming through it. It's very thin in terms of like the thickness of the coating, so it's kind of translucent. But in terms of the hardness of this coating, they've actually measured at 83 Rockwell, which is crazy hard and is going to do a great job protecting the blade underneath because it's just so dang hard. So that's pretty cool. KnifeCenter even says in their testing they were using a lot of really knotty hardware, or knotty birch, and really trying to break through the coating, put a hole in it, and they were never able to. Of course, that's not a guarantee. You can, of course, anything can break anything eventually, but that is, if those claims are true, that's really darn impressive. And you still do have some protruding pommel here at the back, just like on the overmolded handle models. But there's a little more to it. You can actually kind of I like to use this sort of feature for if I'm doing a spoon or a bowl when I'm burning out the center. This can be real good for scraping out the burnt wood. And on the other models, there's not quite enough there to do it without mucking up the handle, but you do have more sticking out here, which is quite nice. But we've got the F1, it's the same thickness as the original. And then the S1, which is thicker still, and the A1, which is a full 1/4 inch thick. I mean, that's a heavy boy right there. It's really going to be able to, you're really going to be able to throw a lot of abuse at that knife. And it just feels really good. KnifeCenter's always done the swells this way very nicely. They've always done it right. So I'm pleased to see they haven't sacrificed that in order to get those bolt-on scales. Now, the scales are still grippy, like that other material. It's not a hard plastic. You still get a little bit, just a little bit of give to them, but it's very on brand for Felleknieven, I think. The last bit, I said there was a few different key features, and the last bit are the new sheaths for these knives. Now, I haven't been able to verify yet if these sheaths will fit the non-X series knives, but you can see there's an extra bit of 2 extra slots here on these wings that the standard sheaths don't have, as well as a long slot here. But we also get a locking tab on the top of the sheath. So if I torque that over, that knife's not really coming out of that sheath. I can't get it to budge. Like I can get a little bit of wiggle, as you can hear there, but it's not coming out. Pop that back, pops right back out. So that's a nice little bit of added security, a little bit of peace of mind, and is definitely appreciated. And those sheaths are available separately, but as I said, I haven't been able to confirm yet if these actually fit the original models, but they are available separately, so keep that in mind. So these are going to be a little bit more expensive than the standard versions of these Felleknieven knives. Prices right now for the entry-level F1, we're at about $208, and it ranges all the way up to the A1X in the coated version is about $333 at this point. Next, let's talk automatics. And we've got a new variant of the Kershaw Launch 8, which along with the Launch 9 that just landed a little bit ago, these are 2 of my favorite launch models from Kershaw since the Launch 1. I've always been a fan of the Launch 1. All of the knives are great. They're a great value proposition and they're built extremely well. But the 8 and the 9 especially have got me really excited. They're just really cool. And where this one differs from the first Launch 8 is we have a green anodized aluminum handle as opposed to the darker color. This is a matte diskin design. It comes with carbon fiber inlays, and it's got that cool kind of old school Italian stiletto look, but it's updated for the 21st century. Like I said, anodized aluminum handle scales, made in the USA, CPM 154 steel, really cool blade shape, flat grind, and a really deep flat swedge as well. The fact that you can get all of that for just under $100 makes, like I said, the whole Launch series has always been a great deal, and it doesn't feel like you're giving anything up for price. The action is right up there with some of the big dogs out there. No complaints whatsoever. Easy recommendation. We also got a new batch of Heretic automatics. First one here is the Manticore S. It's an OTF design. We've got S35VN steel. Blade length is just over 2.5 inches, and we've got a side firing cover switch, or side firing switch, I should say. What's really cool about that switch is it's not just a piece of aluminum or anything else like that. It's actually a milled carbon fiber switch, which is pretty neat. Action, of course, is very good, as you would expect. And as part of this new batch, we've got this purple colorway. In terms of the overall size, it's nice and compact. It's not quite as small as like the Microtech UTX80, but you do get a deep carry pocket clip on there, which it's got plenty of clearance there. If you have thicker jeans, you wear thicker pants, you'll not have any problem. Even though this is a smaller knife, you'll still be able to carry that easily. And we've got a glass breaker tip at the back as well. So of course we do have a broader selection of other Manticore models with different colors and blade shapes and finishes. This is just what's new this week, but we got a bunch on the website, so you should check all of those out too. We've also got a few new Martyr side opening automatics. This is my favorite finish out of what we just got. It is, he calls it breakthrough red aluminum handles, is what he calls that. Looks really cool. Looks a lot like the Battle Wash finish on our KnifeCenter exclusive Benchmade bug outs, which you could check out also. But side firing automatic, you got the push button actuation there. And what's neat about this, I'll see if I can demonstrate this, get it across on camera. It's got really good action. Nothing like it's strong. It's not so strong it's flying out of your hand, but there's no problems with the deployment at all. But in terms of closing the knife, there's like the way it clicks back into the handle, there's not a lot of pressure to get it back in, which is kind of neat. I don't know if I've experienced an automatic that's like that. All it takes is one little finger. You have a little bit of buildup as you get to here, but once you get almost to closed, it's just a tiny little click. Real light pressure to close it up, which is surprising given that it fires out so nicely. So that's a pretty cool thing. I'm really pleased with the way that behaves, and it's a really a neat thing you don't see too often. So it's pretty cool. S35 VN blade, nice and broad. We do have sort of a modified drop point Tonto profile here. And the other interesting feature, I love that close. We have a really big pocket clip here. Definitely shows a lot of attitude. Again, it's folded over, but it's not deep carry. Not quite as much clearance as on that Manticore model. So take that for what you will. I still don't think you're going to have really any problems with whatever you're going to be wearing. It's just something to note. But really cool knives. Again, we got a couple new variants this week, and we have other variants still on our website, so you should go check those out. Pricing on these, we're at $325 on this particular Martyr right here. And on this Manticore S, we're at $250. So let's stick with some custom stuff. Here we've got the Michael Ziba Pro EDC Balisong. What's cool about these is you still get that great handmade finish that you expect from Michael Ziba, but the price is a lot lower than you've seen the other stuff that at least his other Balisongs that we've had. The price here is much lower than those. He was trying to get something at a price point that could compete with some of the best production Balisongs out there, and these are only $249. For that, you get M390 blade steel, about 4 inches in length, plain handles, like they're not going to be as adorned and fancy as some of his fancier models. Same thing with the backspacers. They are simple backspacers, but plain bead blasted titanium handles, but it's not completely anodyne either. You've got a really cool a laser engraved finish that kind of mimics Damascus kind of on the spine of this M390 blade. So you do have a little bit of eye candy there, and I'm not the best flipper in the world by any means, but I get to flip a lot of stuff as they come through here, so I get a feel for how smooth things are, how balanced they are, and this is great, man. It's right up there with, like I said, the best production stuff out there. This is a worthy option as an alternative if you're looking for something different, because the price is right, the handmade quality is fantastic, the balance is great, it flips well. Very cool knife. So the last knives I'm going to show you today are our new KnifeCenter exclusive launch of Firefly handles on Dogwood Custom Knives Kephart Recreation. I say recreation, it's actually a bit of an update from the original design. Now, we did a whole video on this last week. You can go back and see that if you want the more in-depth details. But this was based on an original Kolklesser Brothers Kephart that belongs to Mr. Ethan Becker. And Dan Eastland from Dogwood Custom Knives had access to that knife, took measurements with a micrometer, weight, balance, the whole 9 yards, and was able to bring that to his custom roster, his custom lineup of knives. Made a few tweaks from the original. We've got a little bit of an area here that you can use to strike a fire steel. The key thing, the other thing that Dan is really known for and Dogwood's really known for are these Firefly handles. 30 minutes of direct sunlight and these stones will glow for up to 10 hours. And it really works too. Like, I've got pieces of it so I can verify it works. We've got a few colors, clear as well as green and orange. And just aesthetically, I think orange is my favorite. Looks really cool, great for hunters, definitely. And especially if you're hunting and you happen to set your knife down at dusk when you're skinning out and field dressing your animal, makes it easier to find it if you do set it down. So really cool, and we are the only folks who have this handle material on the Kephart right now. So if you're looking for that, you got to come to us. CPM 154 steel on those. They are ground with a convex grind and a swedge at the back. But if you prefer something more traditional, we also have black walnut versions, which, as near as we can tell, the best guess on that original Kolklesser is that it uses black walnut. So this is, if you're going for traditional and you want that real link to the past, this is where it's going to be. Prices on all of these range. They start at $460 for this model here. They're a little bit higher for the Firefly models. And then in addition to that, we've actually also got a handful of clear Firefly models that come with a Firefly handled fire steel as well. So both of those things will glow in the dark. That's a bit over $500 at this point. I think we're at $535 for that package with the fire steel. So you should check that out. It's really neat. So last but not least, we've got some custom pens from Ti2 Designs. And these are just 2 of them. We got a big batch with a few different sizes, a bunch of different materials and engraving patterns. But we've got the Techliner Shorty and the Techliner Super Shorty, which is this smaller one right here. So, but what sets these pens apart though, first thing first is the engraving on them. They're really intricate, go all the way around the pens. And there's a few different patterns across the new batch that we've got in, so you can browse our website to see all the different options. This one, of course, is brass. We've also got titanium versions. But the other feature that sets this apart is it has a magnetic cap. This is not a click cap. So it uses rare earth magnets, and it posts on the backside as well. But you can watch it kind of grab there. It's pretty cool. It's really strong. Like it's not coming loose. Not really, unless you're really slinging it, it might do it. But it posts on the back as well, and it's pretty cool. It's nice and satisfying. What's the other cool thing is right here on the grip section, we've got some some diagonal milling, so they grip really nicely. And the Shorty uses a Jetstream refill, which is a type of ballpoint, but it writes really smoothly. And the Super Shorty actually uses the Pilot G2 rollerball refill, if you prefer that type of feel when you're writing as well. Titanium pocket clips on both, and they're really cool. So prices on these, whether you choose the larger or the smaller versions, we're at $145 on all of these pens. So that is all the new stuff I've got to show you this week. If you want to get your hands on any of these things, you can of course use the link in the description below. Head over to KnifeCenter.com, and you can sign up for our newsletter while you're there if you want to see the new stuff even sooner than these videos come out. The only other thing I'll mention is make sure to sign up for our Knife Rewards program too while you're there, because every time you buy a knife, you're going to earn points back that you can cash in for money on your when you purchase your next knife. So that's always really cool. I've said it in some videos before. The only thing that beats a new knife is money to spend on your next one. Let us know what you think of these new knives down in the comments. What strikes your fancy? What are you mad at? What are you angry at? It's all engagement. We love it. But we'll be sure to be checking the comments and responding to you guys, and looking forward to see what you guys have to think. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center signing off. See you next time. With D2 steel and get any item? Can't use that.
How?
Sorry. Yeah. Oh, was it? Did the magnet do something? You'll have to take my word for it.